Hey, welcome to the Christian Media Marketing Show. Thanks for hanging out with me today. My name is John, and on behalf of the Kavanaugh Media team, we are honored to not only serve the King, but to serve you in whatever ways that we can. And I'm hoping in today's podcast or the video show, if you're watching here on YouTube, that it will be something that, if nothing else, just makes you think about some of the challenges that are out there. And there are a couple of really concrete things that I'm going to encourage you to make sure that you have at least thought through, if nothing else, that you're at least thinking about it if you haven't done these kind of things. So as always, this is just a part of the broader picture of what so many people are doing around the world to make Jesus famous. In our work, we are operating in a lot of places with a lot of different organizations. And it gives us a picture, a global picture, but it also, since we've been doing this now for 7 or 8 plus years, it gives us a longitudinal, it gives us a period of time to look at how the changes are happening. I know when I first started doing Facebook ads, how it was super easy to get really, really granular with the targeting of where I wanted somebody to see. And then privacy groups got upset about it, which I understand, and it got in front of the United States Congress, and things began to change. And so lawmakers got involved, and this isn't just a U.S. thing. This is happening all around the world. So many countries have different rules and laws that are impacting social media. Obviously, TikTok, and it's banned in the US, but it's already been banned in other places, like India, before. And so things change a lot. And tools and techniques that work stop working, and new things have to be developed. Well, in the 8 or so years now that I have been doing this, one of the most major changes to social media has been the introduction of AI. Now, I'm a fan of AI. I use the tools almost every day, and AI is the worst it's ever going to be right now. As far as capabilities, it's continuing to get better and better. But one of the ways that AI is being used is in social media channels to flag content. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, is simply just addressing AI moderation challenges for Christian social media accounts. So here's what's been happening for us is we spend a lot of money, and in fact, it was well over $330,000 of ad spend last year. And I say that because don't think, well, I'm spending $400 a month, or I'm giving them $50, or I'm giving them $5,000, or whatever the amount is, that is going to make an impact here. I really, really don't think so. Though, and I'll put this little caveat in there, with one of our tech reps, they did ask us from an account that we're having issues with, how much were we intending to spend on it? And we've spent a lot. And so I'm not sure why they asked the question. And that's part of the problem, is there's just so much that is in a black box. They don't tell you so much. And so this is more specifically today to Meta, but it's a reality that I think other platforms either are doing better or worse at, or are beginning to use AI more, or figuring it out, or trying to use it. For us, just last week, we just had an ad account that just got disabled. Just no reason. All of the ads were fine. No ads have been rejected. Like, we're just clicking along, making Jesus famous. And then all of a sudden, boom, disabled. And so what can you do when that happens? Well, I can't go and just go, oh, look, we're spending a lot of money. You guys, oh, no, that doesn't work. So we've reached out, we've talked to them. But the challenge and the issue that's happening is that the more I talk with people, the more I'm seeing that legitimate Christian social media platforms are being unfairly flagged and being disabled by AI. So on different platforms, these different social media platforms, there's Christian content and Christian groups that are trying to make Jesus famous and known, and they're being flagged. And I think that much of this is the automated moderation tools that are being used by Meta and by others, and it's struggling to differentiate between what is good and what is harmful, what is legitimate, what is not, what fits with the community standards and all of the other rules that they have, and what haven't. In the past, I would say, even on this podcast, hey, just do things the right way. Don't use fake accounts, set up business accounts, set up the banks, the phones, do all that stuff. We've done that. All right. So don't break the rules and you should be fine. Well, now with AI, it looks like even when you're not breaking the rules, at least with Meta, you may have issues. And so it's creating significant challenges. It's causing us to have to spin up new things. So it costs a lot of money, costs time to do all of that. And I'm really concerned by what I'm seeing with a lot of this. So what can be done? Well, the first thing that you need to do is always just, request an appeal. Sometimes it's simply just you need to verify your identity, or somebody logged in, or maybe somebody used a VPN or something like that. But if you have a dedicated point of contact, then reach out to that person. Reach out to them saying, hey, our flag's been dinged on this. We're having this issue. What can you do? How can you help us? Now, when we've done this, because this is not the first time, they'll say things like, oh, but it looks fine, or it's in review now and it's 90% of the way done. And then things just drag on. In fact, one of those accounts, it was in review and it never left review. It just sat there in purgatory or some sort of moderation hell, and it never got resolved. So we do have a person that we can reach out to. Unfortunately, what we've been told by our Meta points of contact is, oh, well, we can't see what it was, so we don't know. And some have literally said to us, even if we did, we wouldn't be able to tell you. So if you did something wrong, don't do it, but we can't tell you what you did wrong. It just doesn't make sense. It's just actually really dumb, which isn't surprising because there's a lot of stuff that happens in different social media companies that aren't very intelligent. And so reach out, be nice, talk to your point of contact, try to get them. You may need to consolidate some of your accounts if you've got multiple ones to be able to do that, but try to speak to someone there. Request the appeal, but try to speak to someone. When you're working on your content, I think it's going to be really important that we use very clear language. So even if you're running your ads in another language, make sure that we're using words that can't have double meanings or be misconstrued. All right, so really watch the language. You know that there's probably going to be some terms or even imagery. I mean, we've had Jesus Film Lumo content that has been hit before because of the crucifixion. And they're like, this is blood and gore and things like that. And so just be careful. Sometimes we've gotten away from that issue by still having that video, but the clip that we use for the screen grab that's just there right when you first just see it, the splash screen, won't have the cross or something like that. So just be careful of trigger words, imagery, things like that. Also, maybe just think of alternative ways to communicate these sensitive messages. Remember, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, all of them, the purpose is for the person using it, not for us, the people running the ads. And so if you're talking about, hey, do you feel depressed? Do you feel suicidal? Things like that. Yeah, those are going to get flagged. So it doesn't mean that we can't talk about hope or other things, but we really need to watch language that's being used. That'd be one thing that I would encourage you to do. As I said earlier, make sure you appeal it. All right, appeal right away. In the part of it, when you're going through the appeal, make statements like, we have had no ads rejected. We've been running this account for however long you were. We always stay on top of the community standards and all of these things. Let them know you're aware and you know what you're doing when it comes to this. Be kind, be Christ-like as you're doing it. But then as it goes through the process, one of the things that we've asked for repeatedly is for a human review for this. And so set up the appeal, but just ask. Try to get this out of AI and into a human. Now, let's just on the one that just got shut down. That's what we asked for. And they said that's what they did, but it came back rejected awful quick. And there's just nothing these ads or the account that should be causing this problem. So I'm dubious that a human actually did look at it. But appeal, and when you escalate it, ask for a human review. This whole thing to me brings up just some of the challenges. I actually talked about this a few years ago because of a book I read from one of the head lawyers at Microsoft who talked about the weaponization of GDPR. But I think that this is something that is happening out there, and I'll actually in the next bit here show you just some examples of this, where accounts are being attacked by other groups. And so I think we need to be making sure that we don't put all of our, as the saying goes, eggs in one basket. Be thinking about other platforms, other ways, maybe not even paid. Okay, so maybe it's Google search ads, or maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's Reddit. I don't know. But just think about multiple platforms so that we're not reliant upon a single system. I also think this is one of the reasons why websites continue to be important. Make sure all your videos, all your content, once you've ran through a series, create a topic on that on your website. So the landing pages people can go to those. But I think being able to host your content directly is going to potentially be a really important thing when we continue to lose control on these social media platforms. So as you're doing stuff and you're creating your content and you're running your ads and you're all of this, leverage the technology that's there. So watch the metadata, what you're putting in your videos or your pictures, tags. One of the things we're going to be shifting to is going back to using SRT files. Instead of letting AI try to auto-generate the captions, we're going to tell it what the captions are using SRT files to try to help the AI understand the content. And there's some ways you can do that. You can type it in. You can also just put it on YouTube and wait about 10 minutes. And depending on the language, it'll create an SRT file. And then you can go in and correct it. You do need to save that file and upload it to Facebook in a very specific way. So I've done a podcast on it before. You can also Google it and it'll show you how to do that. But it's also really important to be blocking and moderating your comments. Here's an example. This is a real one here on the screen where this person says these are basically Christians. They campaign by boosting money on Facebook to make Muslim Christians. They have no right in their religion and they invite Muslims to be Christians. The only Islam is the chosen one, da-da-da-da. But here's the last thing. Everyone report this page and fulfill your faithful duties. This is one of the things I think that's happening. And so I think strikes are happening against pages that are in some of these most unreached places. And it's reaching some sort of threshold. We don't know what they are. We don't see those numbers. But I think that's part of it, is just this weaponization of some of these appeals and things that are happening. So be careful, moderate, block, delete, just do all of those kind of things to try to keep that area, one, safe for actual seekers, but hopefully to keep these accounts from being flagged too much. Final thing I want to share with you about this is just, I think this is going to continue to grow. I hope I'm wrong, but I actually think that this is going to get harder and harder, and there's going to be more and more of these kind of issues with AI and different tools flagging your stuff, and then you're done. There's nobody to talk to. There's no recourse. You're just done. And the business account and the phone numbers and everything else, well, they're done. They're wasted. And maybe that's what it's going to be. Maybe the shelf life of these different ones are going to only be a year or something. But it's going to continue to be, I think, more and more of a problem, and it will be more and more expensive to do that. And so we're continuing to think of other ways, but this is where collaboration in the community is important. And so I would love to be hearing from you all about what you're seeing, what you're doing. If you're facing these kind of things, if you're a large ministry doing this and spending a fair amount of money, some of the ones that are out there that I know that I'm friends with, I've been talking with them and they're seeing the same things. And so I think we need to be sharing best practices and we need to be adapting to what we see happening with a lot of these changes in the platforms and just all of this stuff that's happening in the world right now. I'm excited about AI. I think it holds tremendous potential to help us to do better, to analyze messages and to be able to give the right message to the right person. But when it's still got challenges to it. Maybe it's content creation. Well, there's still things there. Maybe it's translation. I don't know. So much that I think AI is going to be fantastic. But when it comes to determining Christian ads and whether or not they should run, it doesn't seem like it's doing too good of a job right now. So we'll keep pressing forward. I'll be sharing what we learn. I would love to hear from you all. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, to the YouTube channel if you would. We also have, you can go on there on our Kavanaugh Media website. We've got tons of ads. We have the weekly marketing newsletter, all sorts of stuff. And so these are created for you. And so I hope that they will be a benefit to you. All right. There will not be a podcast next week. There's going to be a 1-week break for this show. So in 2 weeks, Lord willing, it will be back. And that's because I'm going to be on vacation. Every year, my wife and I try to save up and do what we call the No Tumor Tour. It's a celebration of 7 some years ago when I made it through all my chemotherapy and the doctor said, hey, the tumors are gone. We went on a cruise that year. And every year we've tried to do something, except for the one year when COVID was really bad. And so this next week is when we're going to be going. And I could try to bring something together, but I'm just going to take a break and enjoy a few days with my wife and the son. And I've got reading to do, and I'm sure I'll have all sorts of things to come back to and hopefully be able to share with you. So in 2 weeks, I'll be back. If you're watching this show, that will be the first part of February. Then that first week, the show will be right back on. And so depending on when you're watching this, it may already be over. My No Tumor Tour might. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that, and I appreciate always just the opportunity to share with you all. I appreciate hearing from you, and I love what I see that you all are doing to make Jesus famous all around the world. Keep pressing forward. Don't stop. And don't let these hard things like this stop you from continuing to try to make Jesus known and to see the renewal of all things. Take care, and God bless.